A picture assembled in this way destabilizes the expectations of Hollywood romance, its bourgeois notions of love and family. It might actually make sense to approach 1975's Identikit as a neo-noir, since one of its most prevalent themes is alienation. When our protagonist, Lise, played by iconic Hollywood actress Elizabeth Taylor, interacts with others, she still seems desperately alone. It should also be noted that Lisa's name evokes the word lease as an illegal contract where one person, a property owner, allows another person, a tenant, to use a property for a specified amount of time. When Lise speaks to male characters, they don't really listen to her, or they talk over her. She frequently avoids making eye contact with them. During an early scene of airport security screenings, we hear Lise say that she cannot stand being touched. This very important detail not only reinforces the theme of alienation, but complicates the way sexual desire functions in the film. The only characters who seem to actually see Lise is a mysterious English aristocrat played by Andy Warhol and an elderly woman named Helen played by Mona Washbourne. Similar to the way Liz Taylor's real-life iconicity caught Warhol's eye in the 1960s, Lisa's extravagance doesn't go unnoticed by Warhol in the fictional realm of Identikit. Warhol was painting Liz Taylor long before they met for the first time on the set of Identikit in 1973. This includes a 1962 painting, Men in Her Life, as well as his Liz series of the 1960s. After a violent incident at the airport, Warhol returns a book that Lise dropped, a copy of Richard Neely's graphic 1970 pulp crime novel, The Walter Syndrome, the story of a serial killer targeting women by phone. Identikit's alternate title is The Driver's Seat. A large fraction of the film is spent inside of cars. Lise is typically seen as the passenger, and the men who offer to drive Lise around tend to not only possess an overarching arrogance, but also a predatory sexual appetite. When contemplating the driver of The Driver's Seat, it might be useful to ask, who or what is driving this film, especially during the film's explosive climax, a chaotic scene of terroristic violence? One should consider how Lise reacts to terroristic violence throughout the film. Is there a relationship between this moment of literal explosive violence and Lisa's previous outbursts at the boutique, the airport, the dirty glass she finds in her hotel bathroom? In May 1974, shortly after its premiere at Cannes, a review in Variety described Identikit's surrealist implications and surrealistic styles. In the same review, Taylor's performance is reduced to nice legs and ample bosom, housed by a tent-like dress. Thus, in reality and in the film, the identity of Liz and Lise becomes blurred, blot-like, but not like a traditional ink blot. Lisa's blot is all the colors of the rainbow. Early in the film, Lisa's colorful wardrobe provokes a comment from a maid who asks her if she's joined the circus. One implication might be that Lise represents spectacle itself. In Looking Awry, Slavoj Žižek looks to Lacan to theorize a concept he calls Hitchcockian blot or stain. This blot-like stain is whatever functions as a counter-narrative. After Lisa's early phone conversation with a coworker named Margot, we learn that Lise recently had a breakdown at her office, that she's leaving her home in Copenhagen to travel south, to Rome, for the first time in 3 years. At this point, there's no mention of a partner or a boyfriend. It isn't until later that she mentions she'll be meeting a boyfriend in Rome. There appears to be no neutral onlooker in Identikit. As spectators, we follow Lise. The film also prompts us to follow the fragments of a non-linear interrogation scene. Much of Identikit is told through flash-forwards instead of more commonly used flashbacks. We overhear eyewitness testimonies, we see what Lise sees, we see what male characters see, and at times the male characters appear to see nothing at all. Lise frequently appears in close proximity to mirrors, lights, and the natural landscape, especially trees. Her ghostly character feels reminiscent of Kim Novak's iconic role in Hitchcock's 1958 film Vertigo. Like Novak's intimate moment with a redwood in the Muir Woods, Lise is similarly drawn to the natural world. Through the mirror-like window of her hotel room, Lise sees herself dissolve into the tree-lined landscape. This moment possibly suggests Lisa's desire for metamorphosis, a moment later reinforced by the image of the butterfly that appears on a handbag she purchases at a Standa department store. The colors of the department store not only complement Lisa's dress, but the upwards pointing clothing racks and escalators mimic the garment's upwards pointing patterns. Director Giuseppe Patroni Griffi appears to be interested in exploring virtual mobility, ascending, descending, the illusion of travel within a built world. Money, too, feels like an illusion in Identikit. Curiously, throughout the film, there also appears to be no end to Lisa's spending. Production for Identikit lasted only 2 weeks. Warhol biographer Bob Colacello has said that Elizabeth Taylor would show up at 4 in the afternoon and leave at 5. She had agreed to work for expenses only and then get a cut of the profits. Of course, the producer didn't realize that meant a 7-room suite at the Grand Hotel with a room just for her dogs. When she started charging jewelry from Bulgari to the room, he had to put his foot down. This is just yet another example of the blurred lines between the extravagance of Lise versus the extravagant iconicity of Elizabeth Taylor. A theorizer of the flaneur, the female iteration of the flaneur, and the psychic life of the spectator shopper, Anne Friedberg has argued that shopping is not unlike identification. If one approaches the commodity experience of the shopping mall as a theatrical or even cinematic experience, one can see how the spectator shopper is offered what Friedberg calls elsewheres. Imaginary elsewheres that offer the spectator shopper alternate identities with limited risk and a policy of easy return. The theatrical atmosphere of the department store is only intensified by the pianist waiting at the top of the escalator. A guitar and trumpet also make a pronounced appearance. A panoptic showroom of televisions offers glimpses of the real from inside the imaginary. Elsewhere, in an interrogation room, we learn that Lisa's tent-like dress and the circus it conceals might just be the key to solving a crime. Desperate to acquire her elsewhere, Lise becomes outraged when her virtual flânery is temporarily delayed by a lacking presence of sales associates. "Is there no one here to help me?" she asks. This is perhaps the big question of the film. Who or what could help Lise? What does that help look like? While Lisa's performance could be likened to a drag performance, a performance of exaggerated femininity, Warhol's character offers us a different definition of drag in his anecdote about drag hunting. "They call it a drag because the beast kills its prey and then drags it into the bush," he says. What does a drag show have in common with drag hunting? Is it spectacular premeditation? Does participating in drag give Lise a sense of control over her identity or environment? While the film might not clarify what exactly it is that Lise hopes to transform into, she's certainly determined to leave an impression, to become that which exists between presence and absence, to understand lack as presence. Lack, the state of being without or not having enough of something.